Hi, I'm Elizabeth Rose from the Jewish Historical Society, and I'm here with Marshall Soltz, who grew up coming to this synagogue and has been a member of Agudas Achim for, how many years did you say?
60 years.
For 60 years, wonderful. So if you look around the sanctuary, you can notice that there's a balcony up above, and because this was a Orthodox congregation, that's where the women would sit and the men would sit down here. And Marshall was telling me that he had his bar mitzvah right over here.
Right here.
And you remember the podium?
I'm sure that was where the podium was. It looks like the original one.
And so the ark would have been back
The
here?
ark was there,
Uh-huh.
and the rabbi's chair there, and the cantor on this side. And the bar mitzvah boy would sit next to the rabbi. And, of course, this was in the Orthodox synagogue. You face away from the congregation. So the davening was done facing the ark.
And the ark would have been on the eastern, I assume this is on the eastern wall, so yeah, you'd be facing that. And you were telling us that there were no microphones in those days, and you wouldn't have used them on Shabbat anyway, if there were, or the holidays. So.
But it was acoustically perfect. So if you stood in front of the beam here, and the sound would go off the dome and reach the entire congregation with no microphone. And
Yeah.
even in the low voice, you didn't have to scream.
Uh-huh.
It was perfect.
It's a beautiful dome up there. Yeah. Do you have any particular memories of your bar mitzvah day, or?
Not really. I mean, I remember we used to come. They had a junior congregation on Saturday morning in the chapel downstairs.
Okay.
And then toward the end, the children would come up and sit in these two pews behind this first one.
Okay.
And then after Adon Ram,
Uh-huh.
that's where the Hershey bars were.
The Hershey bars.
The big ones, not what they have today. So that was a reward for coming.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people have memories of gathering in the park on the holidays after
Absolutely.
services. Is that
Because
something
we
you
had
did?
two synagogues on
Yeah.
the same block.
Uh-huh.
And during breaks, everybody would go across the street
Yeah.
to keep up. And there were hundreds there. This synagogue was a huge congregation. So on high holidays, the main service was here, the rabbi.
Uh-huh.
This was all full
Yeah.
upstairs. And then they had another service in the social hall downstairs.
Okay.
And that was full.
Uh-huh.
And that was with Rabbi's son-in-law, Rabbi, assistant that they hired.
Uh-huh.
And that was full. And then they had a third service at Weaver High School, a block away, in the
Wow.
auditorium.
Uh-huh.
And that was all in the song.
Wow. Wow.
It was a deep place.
Yeah.
And then there were other Orthodox synagogues around,
Right.
within a couple of blocks from here,
Yeah.
and they were.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were saying that it looks pretty similar to what you remember, but there was maybe some marble.
Oh yeah, and there
columns
were
or
railings
something?
here,
Okay.
and to get up the steps,
Uh-huh.
handrails,
Yeah.
and of course the ark,
Right.
all marble for the railings,
Yeah.
and of course no electronics.
Right.
Oh, it's
I
a pleasure
appreciate
to
it,
come
yeah.
back in here after all these years to
Yeah.
see this place. And they knew that they had to have a congregation, a building
Right.
where the
Where the
congregation
people
members
were.
were.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they got this lot, and they built a
Yeah.
modern 67
Right.
when it opened. So
Right.
and that was full too.
Yeah.
And it spilled over into there. Rabbi Rudick was a national had national recognition,
Yeah.
so he had a big following.
Mm-hmm.
So the congregation was always huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Great.
And there's a social hall downstairs where they had the receptions.
Mhm.
My brother's bar mitzvah was the reception was there.
Uh-huh.
The Hebrew school was above that.
Okay.
Classrooms
Mhm.
in a new wing that they built late 50s,
Yeah.
early 60s.
That's about it.